Thank you for calling the Everything's Taken podcast. Sorry, we've been out of the office for a couple weeks. Wood.
Yeah, oh, sorry, are we starting? Okay. How do I...
I don't know, we haven't done this in a while, so like...
It's been a while. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we haven't done it in a while, though. And I sure as damn have some reasons that I want to talk about today. But what's your excuses? Give me your excuses why you've been late to work the last 2 months.
Well, I've been late to the ETP podcast, Excellence in Broadcasting, for the last couple of weeks because, well, you know, life just gets busy, of course. I mean, we're not...
It really does.
We're not, you know, robots here, and, you know, life gets busy. So
there's also no set schedule on the ET podcast. I mean, so it's we never said every 2 weeks. So
our goal was to kind of do it bi-weekly at the...
Yeah, it was. That was a personal goal.
But obviously, we're just going to do it when we can, because we can.
I mean... It sounds like, with both of our current positions right now, it sounds like we're actually able to do it bi-weekly now and actually stick to something like that as long as we get our asses into gear.
Yeah, I believe so. So, wow, it's been last time we had Re-Res on, and that's kind of a blast from the past. That was a great episode. So, Re-Res, if you're listening, thanks for coming on. Great chats, but I think we're ready to just kind of catch up. So, this is the playing catch-up episode.
Yeah, I didn't want to guess for this one because I wanted just to chill out with Eric, just have a chat with him about a couple of things. I want to talk about the SNES Classic, and I want to talk about YouTube demonetization issues, which you probably don't know too much about, or maybe you've done a bit of your own research, but we haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah,
have you been hit by anything, actually? We're not gonna dive into that right now, but I'm curious if you've been hit by anything.
No, and I'll tell you why, because I don't monetize my videos, because...
That'll do it.
And the reason why is... Even for my retro game remix videos, even though I do covers of songs, for some reason YouTube still grabs it because it is still similar to the original song. So it'll say content claim or whatever. So they'll
say, hey, you've covered this a little too well.
Yes.
How about you dial it back?
That's exactly it. So I've just kind of just decided I'll just not monetize it to begin with and just make my money on Bandcamp, which isn't very much, by the way. I'm lucky if I make probably $10 a month from CD sales. So, but it's more disheartening for you because we haven't really talked in the last couple of weeks because, like we said, life gets busy.
At all,
whatever.
Unfortunately.
So I'm interested to hear like how it hit you and how you've been able to deal with it, because I've been watching your Facebook posts. You know, like, and I've seen it's like it's very disheartening. Like, why bother even uploading a video? It's going to get yanked right away. So
it sucks really bad for me right now because I've never done YouTube full time before. I'm not even really in a position where that's a good idea to do it full time. You really need to be in a much better position than what I'm in, which is why, and up until recently, I was shooting weddings on weekends and I was serving restaurants. But I decided that I finally wanted to make the move. I finally wanted to go to the place that actually made me the happiest, which was Texas. And I've talked about that a ton in my videos, why I want to be here, why I wanted to move down. A lot of it was in part due to the fact that I'm dating a girl here and I wanted to be closer to her. Long distance is friggin' terrible, as you yourself will be able to tell me and everyone else.
Yes.
Living in Australia right now for a very similar reason.
Yes.
And because I always felt kind of at home at Texas. So I decided it was time to make that move. And with that meant I had to quit my jobs and I needed to move here. So while I'm on this visa, I can't work. And as soon as I made that jump, as soon as I was like, well, YouTube and everything's doing okay, I could probably manage to get by for a while till I figure my stuff out in Texas, all my videos started getting demonetized. And I was like, oh, this is just the worst timing. I could never have planned this any better. Fortunately, I have a network who have been really helping me combat it, giving me a lot of tips as to how to avoid it in the future, as well as all my videos that got hit, apart from one, got hit right as their views sort of started derailing a little bit, so I wasn't really seeing too much of a issue. And then it was every upload I was putting up was getting demonetized immediately. So what I would do is workarounds from that. Like when I would upload it, I would upload the video as like the title would be Happy Fun Time Going to the Park, like whatever I could think of that just seemed super child friendly. And then right before I was ready to put video out, I would change the name. I would say, hey, this is 10 Nintendo Switch games you need to buy. And it would take the algorithm about a day to demonetize that video, strike it and be like, you can't monetize this anymore. Then I'd appeal it And then about a day and a half later, they'll be like, "You're right, our mistake," and they would re-release the video again. But by that point, I'd really only lost about, I don't know, maybe $50 worth of views, like not really even that, which is better than that initial blast that I usually get on the popular videos.
But why were you getting videos demonetized? Because it wasn't just you. I mean, like I was kind of an outsider looking in for a little while.
So I actually know a little bit more about this than a lot of people, mostly because I have really good contact with my network, and we've been going back and forth. I've been talking to my channel manager a lot. So here's everything I know, and there's some things that I was told not to say, and some things that I can say just because certain information YouTube doesn't want getting out. Nothing that really is even that prevalent, but essentially they were going to have a big sponsor, a big advertiser on the platform pull out. I'm not going to say who it was, but it was a big advertiser on the platform pull out, and they panicked because this is like top tier, like Coke and all that pulled out. It was one of them. Yeah. So they were like, "Hey, we'll fix it. And they threw together this algorithm, which is essentially a self-teaching, self-learning algorithm that sort of correlates certain things with videos that aren't advertiser friendly. And the main thing they were trying to do is, this was what they were trying to stand by: if a 5-year-old kid can't watch the video, it's not advertiser friendly, which is bullshit from the start for a lot of reasons, but that's what they were trying to do. So what this program would do is, whatever it deems not suitable for a 5-year-old kid to watch would demonetize it. It would look at the tags, look at the description, and then it would try and match that with other videos it was deeming not advertiser friendly, and then it would try and learn from that as to what tags were being used consistently. So for a good example, someone like Boogie, who has hundreds of friggin' videos out on his channel, right? He got hit with quite a few, and initially it was quite a few across a bunch of different videos, but there was at least 5 to 10 Francis videos that got demonetized initially in the first wave. And it was just various things. It could have been because he put, who knows what words were, it's completely different words in all of these videos that were getting flagged. But the common denominator in the videos getting flagged there, 5 to 10, was Francis. It wasn't, that word wasn't getting him flagged, but all his videos, 5 to 10 videos, had the word Francis in them. So the algorithm said, "Hey, here's 10 videos that had Francis." So then it demonetized every single video on his channel that said Francis. Wow. Because it learned that the word Francis was correlating to videos that needed to be demonetized. So it's a broken system that's trying to learn, but doing a terrible job of it. And YouTube isn't rolling it back because it's the only thing that they had to say to this big company, "Hey, we've done something about it." And if they take it away and it didn't work, then they still risk losing that company, which is why they're kind of screwed right now. And they're going through manually and watching all of these videos manually, because this algorithm, it pings them automatically. And then when you request a review, actual people that work at YouTube need to go through and watch all the videos that were requested and approve them. And Sean and I got pinged with one at the same time, and we both appealed it at the same time, and it took us both 36 hours for someone to finally get up to our video in the queue and watch our video. So they are watching videos non-stop, approving these damn things. It is the weirdest and shittiest rollout I've ever seen YouTube do on a program like this.
Well, yeah, but that's making the YouTubers lose confidence in the platform. And, you know, obviously, look, long term, this isn't going to affect YouTube at all, and it always seems to be really kind of affecting you know, the smaller guys, and as well as some of the bigger guys like Boogie as well. So if he's getting hit, like, nobody's safe. And it's very disappointing, because I know how hard you work on your videos and how consistent you have to be in order to get any notoriety. You have to be boom, 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 video after video. And then you find yourself saying, well, what the hell am I doing it for if YouTube rolls out an algorithm that's making me not earn any money? I'm just going to have to get a real fucking job and work at Walmart. So,
well, it's like, it's that's the thing with my channel too. It's like, why my videos though? What is it that's getting?
There's nothing wrong with your videos.
Like, there is nothing wrong. I don't swear. In fact, I've pulled the swearing back even more. I used to let like words like shit slide on my channel and stuff like that. And you know what really boggled me was I don't swear in my videos. In my videos that I know are going to be out there, my Nintendo Switch videos, for example, they usually get a lot of views. I know a lot of them are from parents that are watching these videos to get recommendations for their kids, or kids watching them because kids play Nintendo games.
Sure.
So I make an effort not to swear. I try and minimize how much I even say things like damn and ass, because I don't have an issue with them, but I know a lot of families do, a lot of people do. But I definitely don't use shit and all of that in those videos. But in all the podcasts we've ever done, and I'm going to say a few bad words right now, kiddies, so if you're listening, turn off the video for a few seconds. We've said fuck, cunt, shit, piss, everything on these podcasts, and not a single one was demonetized.
Is it because of the length of the video? Like, I don't know how the algorithm works. Does it auto-detect the words that are said in the video?
Well, the only thing that we could assume, like Sean and I came up with this assumption that the only way they could go through automatically and say, hey, there's bad words in this video, is every video has like that closed caption option, right? Where it sort of auto-detects. So maybe it goes through and tries to auto-detect, but we've had podcasts where we've said bad words throughout the entire thing, and they've been fine.
It's like,
so I really
as clear
don't
as
know.
a bell. Like, I can speak clearly and slowly into my microphone, broadcasting the word fuck. And the closed captions probably still won't pick it up because it'll be like, say something like about the front door. Or, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, or like duck. Maybe it'll come close.
Yeah, that's right. But it's a bad situation for you to find yourself in, as well as other content creators. So YouTube really needs to kind of pull their head in and figure it out. You know.
Well, I mean, it sucks. And the other thing that sucks, and it's not just money, which is a lot of people are like,
about money.
Are like, you're just complaining because you're losing money. No, another thing that really sucks for a content creator trying to get their name out there and trying to grow their channel is what's more important than anything when it comes to getting your name out there and growing your channel. It's getting views on your videos.
Yes, absolutely.
It's having your videos seen by people. Now, how YouTube shares videos is it primarily and exclusively shares videos that are monetized. Because when you're talking about a platform that wants to make as much money as they can, we all know that YouTube and Google is money hungry when it comes to YouTube. Google claims, or Alphabet has claimed, that they don't make money on YouTube, which I don't see possible, but apparently they don't make money on YouTube.
Totally unrealistic.
So every single time they share a video, if it's not monetized, they're wasting that spot. If you're watching a video and it's got recommendations down the side of all the videos to watch next, every single one of them is monetized because YouTube wouldn't put one there if it's not monetized, which is why whenever someone asks me for channel advice, how to grow a channel, no matter if you have 1,000 subs, 5,000 subs, monetize your videos because YouTube will not share them and you will not get views on them if they're not monetized. So when they demonetize your videos, or they flag a video that's perfectly fine and say it's not advertiser friendly, we can't monetize
They're less
this.
important. To YouTube.
Dead videos.
Yeah.
I had my Zelda clone video. This is a perfect example. My top 5 like Zelda games, or games that I like Zelda, whatever it was that I made recently, the clone one. It was doing really well in its first 24 hours. It hit 20,000 views. It got demonetized. Completely advertiser friendly, demonetized, 0 views for like 24 hours. It got completely derailed. As soon as it got released and monetized again, it blew up to 100,000 views. It was seriously just waiting in freaking limbo, and that's why it sucks the most, because you make a video, it gets demonetized, no one's watching it anymore. I make my videos to be watched. I'm not making them because I like the sound of my own voice.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just,
especially now it's got a fucking southern tang to it.
Well, now that you're down in Texas, you don't say Texas, you say Texas.
As I drink out of
Texas. You need one of them gallon hats. Texas, not Texas.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, in my experience, not that I'm this great YouTuber or anything, but like, I had more success with my Crossroads Reviews channel because they were monetized, longer format videos. And the Retro Game Remix videos I have no hope for, because for one, I can't monetize them because they're too similar to the original creation. And for some reason, I just got knocked right when I started the channel, so I just never had a chance to properly stand up, which is why, if I'm going to make any money from it, like I said before, it's through Bandcamp. So it's really killing the small guy, and it's unfortunate.
And it sucks that like you're trying to do the right thing over there as well, and but YouTube doesn't really recognize it at all.
No, so that's I've long ago come to the realization that YouTube is not going to be the way for me to break into it the way that I initially thought. But it all depends on your content as well. So like, I mean, I do music videos on YouTube, of course, instead of my older long form reviews and stuff, which seem to be a little more successful because of the format. You know what I mean? So I willingly took that hit to be a little more creative. Just like you took the sacrifice to move from Canada down to Texas.
That was rough, dude. I was really liking, by the end, I was really enjoying my stay in Canada. Like, I kind of just came to, initially it was like, damn, I want to be in America and I'm moving to Canada.
It's
and I was sort of like really hesitant. I was hesitant to accept it. But by the end, I'd made a little life. When I bought the car, it was about time when I bought that car, because I spent 3 months and I could drive places. I was discovering new places. I was going and hanging out with friends. I found some beaches I really liked. I got a gym membership and I was going to the gym all the time. It was like friggin', I was getting into Canada, and then I just kind of like uprooted everything and I left. And I got to tell you, getting my stuff through the border too, filling up a car like that and trying to get through the border and not be asked a billion questions about what I was doing.
It's difficult. I mean, I know
it's nerve-wracking because I wasn't doing anything wrong. But I've come and go across the border so many times now that they always ask like a billion questions, like because they think I'm trying to smuggle stuff in and out.
Well, I mean, I understand it to a point, but as long as they're not giving you a cavity search. But
also, I drove, and they did give me cavities. No, they didn't. I drove from Vancouver down here to Dallas, Texas in 2 days.
Really?
It was a 35 hours of driving, let alone like having to stop and all of that.
How many times did you fill up?
Maybe like 10 to 12. It was a lot. It was about $30 a tank, and it was brutal. The first day I drove from Seattle. It's not bad. The first day I drove from Seattle to Wyoming, which was, I think that was 12 hours of driving. Or no, I think it was 16 hours of driving. And the next day I left at 9 a.m. from Wyoming, and I got to Dallas, Texas at 9 a.m. the next day. I just drove straight on through. Apart from I stopped for an hour and a half in Denver to hang out with Joe from GameStop.
I saw that. You sent me a Snapchat.
Yeah, but that was the only stop I made. Oh, dude, that was so bad. By the end of it, I was delirious, and I was like white knuckling, and I was like my hands were sore.
Yep. But I tell you what, I got to give you credit, because I mean, if you got a goal in mind, just do it.
That was the thing.
You got to have your eyes on the prize, and believe me, I'm the same way, because since we've last talked, a lot has happened over at my end of the pond here. My business has really started to really take off to the point where I'm almost going full time with it. It's that consistent. We've got a new car, a 2007 Ford Territory, so a big little. It's like a Ford Freestyle over in the States. The same thing, but just right-hand drive. Just so we can lug, gear from gigs and stuff. And like, there was a point in time we were my wife and I were saying, should we just leave? Like, we're not really happy here because we're homesick. But that's the thing, is like when you were leaving Canada, we'd be the same way. But we've kind of made a little home for ourselves here in Australia.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to settle in.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm here. I'm getting my permanent residency. The first half of it's gone through, so now I just have to wait another 2 years for it to. Because basically it's in that stage now where it's like, okay, you're legit. Now let's just see how legit you really are. So this is the kind of the point where people would pull out. But but no, I'm glad you moved back to Texas. I know you're a lot happier there, and it's. I'm
so much happier, and it's still not something that's permanent. But working on it. And I'm definitely looking very hopeful for it, but end of the day, it's the kind of thing where, and this isn't something I've talked about online at all, but it's a risk I had to make.
Yes.
It was something that I was always going to regret, and I was already regretting. To get super personal, I had lost Kim already due to having to deal with long distance. We tried doing long distance for 6 months, and it ended up breaking us. When we managed to find each other again, which was by I was gonna say the gift of God. I'm not religious, but goddamn, it pretty much was. I'm like, I'm not risking this again. I'm packing up. I'm moving my shit down. So if it doesn't work out this time, it doesn't work out this time. But I did everything that I could this time, and last time I didn't. So
well, I think you're in a better position now to really capitalize on everything. That's the thing. It's definitely. Like you only live once, really. I mean, it's this stupid fucking term of our generation, the millennial generation.
No, it's
YOLO.
true.
But like, really, philosophically, when you think about it, you just get one chance at it. So just do it. Like, I was thinking that the other day. So I told you before in our pre-show preparation period, I said I quit my job recently. So for those of you in Australia who know anything about the internet, you know that NBN is being rolled out, the National Broadband Network. So it's kind of taking over Telstra's old lines, and it's bringing fiber to the house or fiber to the cabinet or node or whatever. So I was one of the guys that worked on the NBN project here in Victoria. And I was working in my town, and then I was working an hour away from the house, and then I was working 3 hours away from the house in Geelong. And it's like, you know,
Geelong,
trying to balance between having your own life and having a business and everything. It was very difficult. And then I had some very upsetting interactions with my boss, where he was withholding pay from me. So I just figured, fuck that. So I quit.
Jeez.
And you know, I was thinking to myself, you really do only live once, so I'm trying to do the best I can and live my dreams, because like you know, I said before, my business is starting to take off, the recording studio and whatever. So fucking live your dreams while you're still young, dude. So
I mean, yeah, a lot of people, I think when you watch everything that we do online, it must seem crazy when you like, because I've bounced around so many times, so many places.
Yeah.
But the thing is, since I moved from Australia, nowhere has been permanent. No, I've never had a permanent visa. Everything's always temporary. Like, my visas are literally always have the word temporary in them. A temporary B2 visa for the States, a temporary work visa for Canada. So it's going to keep bouncing around. I mean, this might not even be it. I'm really hoping it is. But I'm trying to think in advance and think, well, if this doesn't work out, where am I going to be in February?
Well,
and
you're always
that could be
welcome here.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I need to go home. I need to visit my family before I get on the next thing. I don't want to go, like, I don't want to have to go to Canada and then restart a visa and then be like, well, now I'm here again for another year. I do want to go back and visit some people. So, well,
I mean,
who knows?
If you're bouncing in between, you'll need to reset. You know, you'll have to go back home to reset your visas and stuff. So if you ever need a place, you know where I am.
You know, actually, I don't. Where are you now? Are you still in Bendigo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then, yeah, I know where you are. I'll be there. I gotta go see my games anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. They're only 2 minutes down the road. So,
dude, it's crazy that I haven't seen those games in like almost 3 years.
I was thinking that.
How insane is that? Means I haven't seen you in 3 years.
I know. The last time you saw me was when you came to drop your games off. Actually, that was it.
Wow.
That was it.
Jeez, dude, I miss you. I miss so many people over there, and I miss my games. I miss my games, dude. Sometimes I think about, like, I'll be out and I'm like, someone will be like, hey, do you want to buy this? I'm like, I already have that. Oh, wait, that's in Australia. Yeah. I want to play that. Damn it.
I know. I have a small, well, all my Pinnacle stuff is at home. So I have my Vectrex, and I have my Donkey Kong Country Super Nintendo, and I have a bunch of other stuff that I would never dare ship, like especially the Vectrex. I want to play it, but my luck, the screen would fucking smash or whatever. So,
well, one small victory I have is I was actually amassing quite a little mini collection here at Billy's. And that became the point where I had a collection in America, I had a collection in Texas, and I had a collection over in Australia. Yeah. But moving here, I finally got to merge all of it. And it was kind of cool because I'm in this room, in the spare room, and I can't really fit too much stuff. But I got to set up a little collection there, and I have one next to me here. And I got to put out a lot of the stuff that I couldn't take home with me. Like, I have my Back to the Future hoverboard behind me there. Yeah. I have a Breath of the Wild statue over here. So it kind of feels like I got a little bit of my collection together.
Did you have enough room for all of your games in your car?
You would be... I surprised myself, and I surprised Mikey, because Mikey helped me move the stuff in his truck because we thought there was no way that I was going to get it all in my car. It barely fit in his truck, and somehow when we were in Seattle and I was getting ready to head on the road, we fit everything in my car. So my car has a lot of space in it, considering it's just a Mazda sedan.
Gee,
but
well, hey man, that's your life. I mean, put all your shit in your car and just go.
It was rough because, like, well, for starters, I couldn't see anything out the back window. But
just use your rear side mirror.
The reason why I did it in 2 days was because I didn't want to stop, because I had my entire life in my car. Yeah. What if it got, like, jacked? And the one time I did stop, I stopped in Wyoming, slept there for the night. I had to pull everything out of the car and put it in the room because there was no way that I could sleep knowing my car was out there with my stuff, my entire life, my entire game collection in it. So,
gee, well, hey, I mean, you're chasing your dreams there, so after the break, we're going to talk about the hottest little topic in town. And no, it's not Mini Kiss. It's the Super Nintendo Mini.
I don't even understand what that was supposed to be.
Mini,
continue.
Well, okay. I watched
Mini Kiss.
Mini Kiss. You know, like the band Kiss. There's like a version of Kiss. It's a cover band. They're all midgets.
But we'll get to that conversation after the break here.
I'm only saying that because I watched Paul Blart Mall Cop 1 and 2 yesterday, and they just have so nobody gives a shit. Whatever. Okay, I get it.
Isn't it little people now, or is Australia a little behind on the times over there?
Look, you and I both know that Australia is not politically correct.
No, Australia really isn't, but they get away with it. I say those Australians get away with it because they don't hate anyone. We're so docile. Like we have so much, like, it's not even that we love everyone. We have love in our hearts for everyone. We just don't give a shit. Like, we don't hate anyone.
Yes.
So
that's exactly
we just say whatever the fuck we want.
And now that I'm a permanent resident of Australia, somewhat, I can almost say whatever the fuck I want, but it comes across it comes across as arrogant though, because some people
develop the accent a little bit.
Okay, so we still have time before the break.
Okay.
I told you about this back on episode whatever, I don't know, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. Now we're on episode 8.
Who cares? Who watches this?
Who gives a fuck? Nobody watches this anyway. I was on an episode of House Hunters International.
How is that aired yet?
Yes, it is aired, and I will send you the link.
Please do.
Okay,
please do.
If you guys want to look it up, House.
So this is a show where they give you some kind of budget, and they help you buy a house.
I'll
in the show.
I'll explain it. Okay, so if those of you watching, go on YouTube and search House Hunters International Bendigo, Bendigo. You'll see me and my wife in the thumbnail. And so House Hunters is a really popular show on HGTV. Over, I don't know, 15, 20 million people watch it, and it's a new episode pretty much nearly every day. So we were on the international version of it, and how they got in touch with me is I was doing some promotional videos for my band on a Facebook page called Yanks Down Under. So because I moved over here and whatever, I was making a record with an Australian guy. You've had some of the songs in your vlogs and shit. The production company got in touch with me and was like, oh, I like your story. Would you like to be on an episode of House Hunters International because you're an American moving overseas? So I said, sure. So it was all well and fine. It was a great experience, and they paid us a little bit of money, which we went on a late honeymoon to Japan for, which we talked about in episode 4 with Aunt Dude.
Yeah.
And the episode finally aired about 3 weeks ago, and wow, did they spin it. They spun the story, because our initial storyline was we were living with my grandmother-in-law, and we were itching to get out. I needed a music space. The grandma was bitching, oh, the music's a little too loud, can you turn it down? So we're trying to find a house that's detached from neighbors so we don't bother anybody with this loud, annoying music. And like in the storyline, it ends with me playing a gig, and there's a lot of people there, and we're happily ever after in your 22-minute episode of House Hunters International. But they spun it in a way where I seemed like I was dragging my wife Amber through the mud to come back to her hometown. You guys, those of you who, if you look it up on YouTube, look at the comments. Look at the comments. People are fucking tearing me apart, saying that I'm a selfish prick of a husband, that my wife should leave me. Which is, look, that's fine. They think they know me. I mean, whatever. YouTube hate is not an unrealistic thing. I understand it's real. But we got personal messages and comments on our Facebook's pages saying, "Oh, you should leave him. You're a prick. Why would you do that to your wife?" I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is HGTV, House Hunters. You're really that invested in my life that you really care that much?"
That's kind of shitty that they spun that way though, and kind of pulled that on you without telling you.
Well, I'll tell you what, we filmed 5 days, and they were 5 8-hour days worth of filming. So there was probably close to 40 hours worth of footage that they condensed down into 21 minutes and 44 seconds of an episode. So there was plenty to really work with. So don't believe everything you see when it comes to reality television, because, you know, I would be standing there in front of the camera and they would say, okay, now say this, say that, and say it with this emphasis. So it was a very lighthearted version of our story coming here, and it was spun in a very different direction to make me look a certain way. Well, I'll send it to you afterwards. Watch it. And for those of you listening,
that's very interesting.
Watch it, because really, I'm not an arrogant prick by any means, and nor should I have to sit here and justify it. But just watch the episode and, and compare it to how you really know me, because I think
I mean I know that's not.
I think it's fine. But those whatever.
I mean, it just kind of. I mean, I take an issue with that because I deal with shit like that all the time. I know you do, and it's like okay, so don't. This is people that are watching, and you've already touched on it, but don't judge someone or think you know someone based on like 22 minutes of them that you see, or even like 10 minutes and like of an episode a week of someone, because you do kind of build these perceptions of someone when you watch their stuff, but it's never going to be 100% who they are. Just getting this like small little glimpse into their life. But there's like you just like doing your own thing and then people assuming what they assume, and then there's someone twisting something to make you seem like that's so much worse. That bothers me so much, because what if let's say you and Amber just weren't as rock steady as you were? What if that really got to her? What if those messages really got to her and ended up like actually causing some relationship issues between you and her?
It could have.
That's shitty. I don't like that. That rubs me the wrong way.
But that's the thing. It's like, you know, those of you who are ever in a situation like that, don't ever let that turn you off of putting yourself out there, because if you do, then, you know, the trolls win, of course. So that's just part of life. You're always going to find adversity. So
I mean, yeah, they can say what they want. You got to go to Japan.
Yeah, fuck. So. I got what I wanted, and they got to, you know, spin my character. I was playing a character version of myself on that television show. Remember that. Anyway, now that we're at the break, our normal, what is the word I'm looking for? Our normal.
There's nothing normal about
nothing normal
us,
about the Everything's Taken podcast. You know why? Because everything is taken. Okay, so we normally break with a song in the middle. What song are we going to do? Would you rather Blaster Master Stage 1 or Sonic's Chemical Plant?
I'm gonna say Blaster Master, because I don't like all the coins in Sonic levels.
All right, no coins in Sonic levels.
I was wondering if you'd catch on that. All right,
so we'll leave you guys with the break here from Retro Game Remix Volume 4, which is on its way. Blaster Master Stage 1, cover from the NES. Enjoy.
welcome back to the Everything's Taken podcast. Yeah, a little round of applause for that unknown artist, who's I'm sure is gonna blow up anytime.
Welcome back.
Maybe if he starts monetizing his videos. Okay, Eric. So I want to talk about the SNES Classic, but you said you have a little tidbit you want to share with us first. So let's make these people wait a little bit longer for my rage.
A little tidbit, the T's and B's, as some people tend to say. You know, affectionately,
no one does.
My wife refers to my personality on the podcast as broadcasting. So, with half my brain tied around my back, just to make it fair, today was new belt day. Can I just say that it is very difficult to go belt shopping?
I hate belt shopping.
And wallet shopping, too.
I hate it. Wallet shopping, that's internet right there. You're talking eBay now.
I know. It's very difficult to, because okay, so I got my belt on my wedding day. It was a really nice belt. It was a Dickies leather belt, really cool belt. But the buckle's like, you know how that little nub that hooks into the buckle and keeps it steady. It like I think it had grinded down. So I got a new belt today, and I'm feeling a bit down because, you know, I miss my old belt, but it came with a new wallet, a genuine leather wallet. So here's
that's two.
Here's my old one, which
that's an old wallet.
This is an old wallet, and it also smells like cat piss because the second day that I got it, one of my cats pissed on it. So that'll do it. So anyway, let's talk about the Super Nintendo Mini. Now that
I want to talk about one. If we're going down belt alley, I want to talk about the fact that I'm addicted to coffee. Well, just while we're doing like random tidbits, you know,
let's talk about.
I've tried cutting coffee for the last like 3 months, and I was getting pretty close to being coffee free. And then I did that road trip down here, and just to stay awake, I had to be on like 5 to 6 cups a day. And now if I don't have at least one, I will crash and just sleep for like the entire day. And I finally had a day where I only had 1 cup of coffee in the morning. And then Billy and I decided to go to a Whole Foods, and it was like a fancy one, and they had all these different kind of coffee beans, and we ended up getting like Banana Foster's coffee beans and Nutella coffee beans and like all this crazy amazing. And then I've been drinking all this coffee again, and I'm just completely wrecked. I am addicted. It's a drug.
Right there is what makes America the greatest country on earth. Flavored coffee.
It's a good country. I'm sure you can get that somewhere in Australia though.
Can I just say that until I moved, when I moved to Australia, then I really started drinking coffee a little more regularly than I did over my home country of
I love coffee.
The United States.
I love coffee.
I would have a black coffee or whatever, but now I was turned on to the magic of cappuccinos, and then, you know, I realized I don't really like milk in my coffee. I like cream.
I was gonna say, I like cappuccinos, but it's so much milk.
It's okay. Like, I would go to McDonald's at the McCafe, brought to you by Ronald McDonald, and they would pour like this much coffee and like 3 gallons worth of.
Well, that's the thing, because with like espresso coffee like that, you're getting an espresso shot. Yes. And then the rest is made of like warm milk, which is delicious, but it's not coffee. Well, it is, but it's too much milk.
So I'll tell you, in our little lull, my mother and my brother came over from the States, and, you know, I showed them a little bit of the stuff around town here. And then I realized that my mother likes to have creamer in her coffee. It's usually the Nestle Amaretto or hazelnut cream. And then I realized that Australia doesn't do coffee cream.
I was about to say, Australia doesn't do cream in their coffee. When I first moved here, I thought it was the weirdest thing. I'm like, I'm not putting what even is cream? Like, I'm not putting that in my coffee.
It's like, you know, you go to Dunkin' Donuts, okay, I'll have a large coffee, or you'll go to Starbucks. Excuse me, sir, can I have a venti coffee? Okay, would you like cream or sugar? You know, like, nobody asks that over here, so it's like milk or sugar here. But in Australia, there's coffee whitener, which tastes like shit. But then I noticed that Woolworths, they started carrying the hazelnut little shots of it's just the coffee mate stuff. So I can't go without having cream in my coffee.
I feel like it's like Australia is always behind America in things. They like to imitate America in a lot of things. I wouldn't be surprised if cream does pick up and become more popular.
It should.
But, I mean, when it comes to coffee and tea, though, you are a British country, so you have a lot of British and I would say aneurysms. So mannerisms. So you have your tea, and then people that drink coffee generally started as a tea drinker, so they put milk in their coffee, which is fine. I used to do it. It's just not heavy enough. It's not delicious enough.
But when I have coffee, I like to have it sweet to the point where I would get an aneurysm for having it so damn sweet. Like when I go to a coffee shop, like so for example, my wife and I went out to coffee this morning. And you know, I get embarrassed when they're like, "Okay, would you like any sugar?" I'm like, "Yes, 3 sugars, please." And their look is like they've just seen a ghost. They're on fucking Taps Ghost Hunters, and they're like, "What was that? What was that?" The guy said 3 sugars, like. So I just added myself, but
I actually I stopped with the sugar. I stopped with all sugars and like carbs and everything because I'm trying to like diet and be more health conscious. So my cream is usually like fat-free, sugar-free creamer, which now it's weird because I've adjusted to it. So like I'll drink like when I go and get like iced tea from McDonald's, they'll do like cold brew.
Yeah.
So I have to ask for like no sugar syrup, and they're like, "Are you sure?" Because it's like so bitter. But when I drink it, it feels like I'm drinking like straight sugar if I don't have and anyway, that's
when you go to Dunkin' Donuts, you can ask for liquid sugar. You know what I mean? You can do that. But like here, all you have in Australia is like Gloria Jean. Like who the fuck?
Australia is so basic. Like it's fine. It's kind of nice. It's kind of like it's relaxing in a way how basic Australia is through and through. But that's definitely why I left. Like people ask me why I left Australia. It's like because there's no cream for coffee, and it's like that seems like a little thing, but it's everything. Like everything has its no cream and coffee about it. And it's like when you go to America, you're suddenly like you have all of these freaking options, and it's amazing.
That
I don't know how fast food places stay in business here because there are so many of them, and there's no way enough people go and eat out that often to keep them all in business.
Who the fuck goes to Red Rooster?
You have Red Rooster, McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, which is Hungry Jack's, and Domino's. I can't think of another one right now. You want me to go on freaking like Sonic,
Wendy's, Carl's Jr., everything. You have
Jack in the Box. It just keeps in and out. Whataburger.
This is what I miss. I just want to go to McDonald's and say, "Give me a fucking sweet tea for $1."
$1 every time I'm not in America and I come back. It's the $1 sweet tea that gets me every time.
But you know what you need? When you're waiting in line for those Super Nintendo minis, you need a coffee. And that's why that is a really great segue. So let's talk about the Super Nintendo Mini. I still haven't gotten mine yet. Australia Post, thanks so much for fucking rolling at a snail's pace here. It's been out for 3 days now, and I still don't have my Danky Kang country.
Danky Kang. You know, actually, something I want to touch on in revolving this SNES Classic, before we talk about the scalpers and everything. Also, a huge thank you to my Patreon, Leon, who picked me one up from Australia and is going to be shipping me one because I wanted the PAL version. For those of you who don't know, there's a PAL version and an NTSC American version. They look different, just like the old days, but that's not the point I was trying to make. Did you watch the IGN review of Star Fox 2 by chance?
What?
Cringe. Do not freaking city.
Don't review a 20-year-old game with a 2017 mindset. Do not.
It was so cringe, dude. I couldn't stand it. When he was talking about janky frame rates, I'm like, do you... Okay, there's a few things that like...
Don't get me started.
One of the comments on the channel, on the video, which I couldn't agree with enough in that setting, and it's funny because it's something that I've been hit with a few times, which bothers me. But it was a game reviewer reviewing a game that's older than he is, and it's so true in that sense that that guy, he's not a retro gamer like me. I've reviewed a lot of games in my time, but I've played a lot of games. I have every system. I have a wealth of knowledge that I've gone back and I've learned. So I have some sort of voice when it comes to older games. But this is a guy that's sitting there every day, every week, reviewing newer games, who has Star Fox 2 thrown into his lap, and he reviewed it like it's another day in the fucking office, and it was just cringe freaking
These
city.
People don't appreciate Star Fox in general. Like, okay, when Star Fox came out, it was revolutionary. It helped boost the Super Effects chip to the point where, you know, you had all your Super Effects lineup, and it pushed the Super Nintendo hardware to the limit. And Star Fox 2 did the same thing, although it was varying in gameplay. From a technical standpoint, Argonaut Software, or whatever they were, really just like pushed the boundary, pushed the Super Nintendo as hard as it would go. And yeah, That's the characteristic of janky frame rate, because the Super Nintendo couldn't process it. But they didn't put the damn game out to begin with, because Star Fox 64 was a year down the road, so why bother? So it's a nice little tidbit, T&B treat, dog treat, milk bone, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So like IGN, they're the kind of people that will review Pokemon Sapphire and say 7 out of 10 too much water. These guys don't know what they're talking about. That's why you just play the game for what it is.
He slipped up too, because as you said, they didn't release it because of Star Fox 64 and because they wanted a clear defining gap between 16-bit era and the 64-bit era. They were trying to say at the time that the 64 could do things that no other system can. 64-bit graphics, 3D models, looks fucking incredible. So they decided last second, well, we can't put a 64-ish kind of game out on the SNES. Like, we can't, it would blurs the gap too much. But in the review, he said they decided not to at the last second because, and he implied because the game sucked. And it's like,
no.
Anyway, that was
so what if it's a bad game?
That pissed me off. Thing is, it's not that.
It's not though. I like it
for its time. It would have been just as great as the first one, and it would have been better than 90% of the SNES library, maybe 80% of the SNES library. But I don't know. Anyway, SNES Classic, it's out. People are scalping them. I made a few posts on my Facebook and on Twitter, if those of you didn't see. And I don't know why it bothers me so much, because it doesn't really directly relate to me, because I'm not the one that's going out and paying these scalpers. Like Leon, as I said, one of my Patreons picked up me one, so I have one secure. But I think the reason why it bothers me the most is just the fact that, and I said this with the NES Classic, is there are families out there that I just picture this like dad who wants to buy a SNES Classic and bring it home for his kids and kind of show his kids what he grew up with. And you just know there are people out there that are missing out on that because Mr. Joe from down the road bought 6 of them to sell them for $250 on eBay to collectors who are going to have them sat around the house. Because if you're paying $250 for it, chances are you probably are a collector that just wants one for the collection. And I mean, not in every case, but more than likely it's because you see the value in it, because you want to have one. You're paying that price. And it just sucks that people are missing out, people that actually want
It's not fair. You know what I mean? Like, I saw the particular post that I saw. It was really funny. It was you called this guy out big time. It's like, if you do this, fuck you. And it was like the guy in the passenger seat of the car. I think he had like 6 or 8 of them. And then that guy actually commented, and you said, "Oh, I hope you go down."
Well, it's funny. It's funny because that was actually the top post on Reddit when I pulled it and put it on my Facebook. That guy actually happened to be on my friends list. He was legitimately a friend. I had no clue, and he's like, "Hey, that's my photo." And he said, "Oh, that's mine. I was going to sell them at my store. I sold them all for retail already," is what he said. But then if you keep reading that thread, a couple other people chimed in and said, "Well, he's actually on my Facebook too." And here he said that he had 4 different TVs and he was hooking them all up to different TVs in his house. And then someone else was like, well, here he said, what's wrong with resellers? Do you get mad at supermarkets for buying like groceries or having groceries and then upselling them in the store? Like, do you get mad at supermarkets? So quite clearly there, he's got 2 other ways that he's trying to defend himself, saying that, hey, what I'm doing isn't wrong. So he clearly was scalping, by the way.
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, this is the thing. You want to have your voice, vote with your wallet. Don't be an idiot. Pre-order it. You know what I mean? Like
I saw people on my Facebook asking like if anyone was selling them, and they were willing to pay $250, and I was like, "What? This is insane! Don't." For starters, there was a link to. I'll leave it in the description. Reggie from Nintendo actually spoke out and said, "Don't pay scalpers." His freaking words: "Don't pay scalpers because we are upping the production on these." And didn't they already say that they're making more NES classics as well? Yeah, they are. They know that people are scalping them. They know that there is a demand for them. There's so many things Nintendo are trying to do right now between the Switch, trying to make sure they have enough Switches to put out. I read somewhere that an Apple product uses the same a piece of the same hardware that's in a Switch, which is why they're having trouble making as much as there's demand for them, because
the Super Nintendo Mini has face recognition, and that's why they're just so hard. So they're just so hard to find. You look at the Super Nintendo Mini, and it just turns on. If you believe me, you're dumb. But like,
I was waiting for an extra punchline of that.
No, but like, okay, I get it. Not every Tom, Dick, and Jane can afford one. So don't encourage it. This is why the retro gaming market is where it is. That's why you have people like the Game Chasers who have to go to flea markets and try and get bargains, because otherwise, you know, other than, you know, back when I was at home, my my retro game store, Microgame Play and Trade in Clay, New York, call 622-play, and they'll hook you up. They gave me good deals because I knew the manager, and that was really the only way that you could kind of get yourself in and get some good games affordably. But when you go on eBay, you know, you look at the sold listings or whatever, and you know, people are buying the NES classics for $300, $400, $400 today.
No, it really does
on Craigslist. It's like, dude, come on.
It does my head in with that, because the moment they were released, I saw in the marketplace near me people were selling them. Like, it was full, and I posted that too. The moment they were released, my marketplace on Facebook was full of people selling them, and they were all $250 to $300. Why were they specifically all that price? Because that's how much the NES crept up to.
Yeah.
After, you know, it took a while. It went from 60 to 80 to 100 to 150 to 2. Ended up settling around 250 recently. So as soon as the SNES Classic came out, these are worth 250, and that was the price for them. Pisses me off.
And it's done because it justifies the price when people buy them from scalpers. You're not helping anybody. But, you know, I thought Nintendo was making...
What's the root of the issue, though?
Sorry, go ahead.
Now you go.
But I thought Nintendo was really going to overcompensate for the demand.
They are. They're going to be compensating. They're making more of everything to compensate for it. But the root of the issue is I mean, is it an issue? Like, I know I get so frustrated about it. It does piss me off because I'm so close to it. But it's not like this doesn't happen with literally everything ever. Like, you think about like band, like when they go play like gig tickets and stuff like that, they sell out instantly, and like a lot of people trying to buy 5, 6, 7 tickets to this show and then upselling them. It happens everywhere. I'll tell you.
So a good example is if for those of you who have heard of the legendary Canadian band Rush, I saw their very last show on their 40th anniversary tour at the LA Forum. I paid $600 to sit in row 32 because, for example, yes, it's their last show. Yes, I would be there. I wouldn't miss it for a minute. And I'm willing to pay the price. I understand that. There are certain circumstances in which I'll just fucking, like I'm at a, you know, male strip club, you know, just $1 bills.
Male strip club?
Male strip club.
Okay, just checking. I'm glad you had to clarify.
I didn't stutter with. But there's other instances as well. Like I've seen pictures on Facebook here. Well, you know, the Chemist Warehouse. There's people who buy like baby formula and ship it off to China because it's like a certain kind of formula they can't get. So like, believe me, this goes for anything. But we're close to it because this is what we know and love. Yeah,
we definitely take it way more to heart. But it does happen in everything. It just sucks because it's our hobby, I guess. It's our hobby, and it's just making it way more expensive for us to be a part of it. Which, I mean, we already have to deal with like the older stuff. Like you and I have to deal with trying to buy the old NES, the Nintendo, Ataris, and SNESs like that. We already have to deal with market prices. We don't want to have to compete with the new shit too. And me, like I'm not like super old. Neither of us are super old, but both of us remember a time when there wasn't such a thing as pre-orders. And I loved that time. I remember when pre-orders became a thing at my local GameStop or EB Games, where I went in and they were like, "Do you want to pre-order it?" And I was like, "What does that mean?" And they're like, "Well, put $5 down to reserve your copy." And I was like, "I'll just walk in and grab it." Like, there was no such thing as like games selling out. Like, there was barely even lines of people waiting to pick up certain games that you would even like, especially like with PlayStation and Xbox and stuff like that. There's never gonna be limited supplies of like the new like Horizon or Destiny game or something like that, but it still became a thing where you had to pre-order it, and then you got all these bonuses, and then you got all this stuff, and now it's literally at the point where with certain things, if you don't pre-order it and pay it off beforehand, 3 months beforehand, or even now it's at the point like with the Switch, if you're not there within an hour after they announce the goddamn release date of the system, you might not get one.
And it's unfair.
That pisses me off.
It's unfair. Like when they announced the Super Nintendo Mini, I was online, ebgames.com.au, and pre-order, boom. Because I had such a hard time getting the NES Mini. So like it was harder to get the NES Mini than the Super Nintendo. So I guess they kind of figured it out. Or I don't know, because I didn't have to deal with the heartache because I pre-ordered one day one. So like there was times, for at least in Australia, that I was reading, EB Games would put up their pre-order and the site would crash because pre-orders go live at noon.
GameStop
you know, like, come on. So what are you to do?
And then people are like, when you don't get one, it's like you're salty you didn't pre-order. You're salty you didn't pre-order. It's like you have just as much chance at pre-ordering one as you do trying to walk in on the day and picking one up. Like,
I remember going to get Amiibos back when Amiibos were huge. Now nobody gives a shit. When they came out with
that's funny.
When they came out with the Fire Emblem Amiibos, I was at Target at like 7:30 for them to open at 8, and I was in line with like all these other guys that just showed up wearing these fucking Nintendo t-shirts. And as soon as they open the door, it's like, what do you just run? So like I'm running.
I know.
I'm running like a fucking Kenyan hunting down a cheetah to get these 3 Fire Emblem Amiibos, and I grab them, and that's it. And then like some girl walks up behind me. Oh man, like I don't want to be that guy to do that to somebody else, but like this is my lifeblood. You know what I mean? Like, so you take it seriously.
I did that with Target with the Gold Mario Amiibo. They did a second wave of the Gold Mario, and I lined up, and I was so early, and I like ran for the counter. I'm like thinking back to it now. I'm like, oh my god, I wouldn't do it now. I 100, no matter, it would have to be like, it would have to be Nintendo, like the next Switch or something like that. They were like, oh, there's super limited supplies and we're not making any more. I would fight that. I would like fight that to the death. But like anything else, like if it wasn't for Leon, like because I accepted I wouldn't get a SNES Classic because I wanted an Australian one and I wasn't going to go out of my way to get an American one. If it wasn't for Leon like pre-ordering it for me, I wouldn't have one because I'm not fighting. I'm not playing a part of the fucking game. If I ever see one in a store, I'll buy it then.
Yeah.
The sad thing is that's probably never going to happen. No, it won't,
because like I got my Nintendo Mini because of a total fluke. You know, I was when I came to Australia last year, I couldn't work for 3 months because that's how my visa was. Because you had to come to Australia, come on a tourist visa, and then apply for your permanent residency. So I couldn't work for 3 months, but I had to wait for my visa to run out. So then I got a Christmas casual job at Big W because it's all that there was. And I just wanted to help pay rent for a little bit. And I was working at Big W, and I went into the manager's office, and I just go in and I see this shopping cart full of Nintendo Minis, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, can I please get one? Yeah, sure, here, yeah. So like I totally fluked, but otherwise I never would have gotten them because I've never seen them. But the things where you go to the store to really get there early and line up. I remember the Gold Mario Amiibo. I went to Target probably like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the release day, and there was like 20 of them on the counter. You never know. Yeah,
it definitely depends on your area too. And I mean, like with the NES and SNES, I'm glad they're making more of them. But it would be easier to defend them and be like, well, it's a limited supply thing. I mean, how many are they going to make? If it wasn't for the fact that like Switches and Amiibos and so many things that are supposed to be like their current product, their current thing that they are making for the public, and they're still so hard to get a hold of, the NES and the SNES just add to that frustration. It's like, can we please get one cool Nintendo thing that's actually readily available when we want it?
You'll never walk into a store and get it.
You know what?
Never.
You know what would happen though? I mean, people like us, it'd be fucking awesome because we get to get what we want. But if that was a thing, if there was something like the SNES Classic was always going to be readily available and we knew that from the start, it wouldn't sell nearly as well. Yeah. It wouldn't even sell close to as well because people wouldn't be climbing over each other to pick it up. They'd be sat on the shelf. They'd say, maybe I'll pick it up one day. 2 months goes by and they're like, don't worry about it.
Nintendo's always done that. And I really remember the first time that I heard about it, creating demand by not putting enough supply was the first time Fire Emblem came out in the 3DS a couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, and nobody could find it. And then people realized, oh, they're creating demand by not shipping enough, making their game more wanted. From a business standpoint, sure, I think that's great, but like you're really
from a business standpoint, it works.
You're fucking the customer. That's not fair.
It's very clearly what they're doing, and for me, it became apparent with the amiibos. As soon as they were hard to find and people were jumping over each other to get them and they couldn't keep them on the shelves, it was like, this is what they're doing. They're creating demand for their own product by not having enough available on the shelf, and then that has fucking dripped down through everything they've done since.
I remember, like, even you and I were crazy about the amiibo. I think I was a little more so than you. Like, you saw my amiibo collection. You stood.
No, you went ham.
I had
on that.
every single one, and I still have a lot of them over the States as well, and I've bought some here as well that I don't have at home.
It's out of control now, though. There's
only so many toys I can take in the bathtub at once. Let's be realistic.
That's too many.
I can't do it.
I think the only thing Nintendo hasn't tried to drive demand up on, I've noticed, is Switch games.
They're always there.
There's been more than enough. I mean, I think there's a couple times that, like, on launch day they've sold out on the initial batch, but within a week they've always had Switch games on the shelf, which I think is definitely an intentional thing where it's like, okay, well, we can make the system hard to find, but if we make the system and the games hard to find, then no one's going to be involved in this thing. They got to make sure that if you pick a system up, you can at least go out and buy every single game.
And they're always pretty well stocked too. So, but who knows? But they do the same thing with the 3DSs. I remember when the Pikachu 3DS came out, I got one for my 20th birthday.
Oh, God.
And that was bad too. So
the 3DSs are a moneymaker for them too. Every single edition they put out, it sells.
The Samus edition.
Because people want, I know, sold out everywhere again. And it's like, oh my God, who doesn't have a 3DS at this point? I have 3 in this room. And when I saw that, I was like, I want it. Like, I'm not going to buy it, but I want it.
There was a point in time where I had 3 3DSs. I had a 2DS, I had a 3DS XL, and then I had my Pikachu 3DS XL, which I still have. And it's just like, oh, there's another special edition. There's a Pokeball edition coming out. I'd probably get it if I could afford it. Or the Samus edition. I'd get it if I could afford it. But I just can't justify it anymore.
No, you can't. I mean, hopefully one day we'll be looking through some garage sales or flea markets. 20 years from now, we'll be able to collect them all, like the colored Game Boys. But
really quickly, did you pick up Samus Returns?
This gonna sound like I'm freaking spoiled now, but ages ago, one of my Patreons messaged me and said, "Hey, that's coming out around your birthday. Do you mind if I grab it for you?" So I do have it, but it's sat in the post office right now for me to go pick up. I'm really excited, dude. 3DS. Actually, I have them sat right here. I work with Nintendo, right, for the ambassador program. Like, they sent me that new 2DS XL. Yeah. I don't know what it is about 3DS stuff, but they love me when it comes to 3DS stuff, dude. And in the last 2 weeks, they sent me Mario and Luigi Superstar, which hasn't come out yet, I don't think. They sent me Monster Hunters, which is now out, the stories. And then about 2 days ago, I got the new Yokai Watch. And with the Samus Returns coming my way pretty soon, I have too much to, like, there's no way, like, all of these games are, like, lengthy games. Like, what am I supposed to do? Plus, I've had this sat on my desk. Where's my camera? There, that's actually up there, but you can see it here. I've had that sat on my desk for about 2 months now because I wanted to play through it. I'm done. And now I have Destiny 2 I just got into, so I think I'm just done with gaming for a while.
I tell you, I stopped collecting because I'd just be buying so much stuff. I wouldn't have time to play it. And I bought Samus Returns, and I've played probably about 5 hours of it, but life has just been so busy that I can't play it. So,
dude, I know, like you know how much of a fan of this series I am.
It's still sealed.
One of my favorite series of all time, still sealed. I have the new Uncharted down there, still sealed.
Wow.
I just got both Yakuzas. Yeah, the new Yakuza 0 and like Kiwami, and that's sealed. I have so much that's sealed.
You still haven't played Uncharted 4?
The new Uncharted, whatever it's called. I can't remember. Lost Legacy or something.
Okay. I'm not interested in that.
I actually am. I'm actually excited to play.
No Drake, no dollars.
I mean, it's I don't know. It looks like it's pretty much going to be the same, just without Drake.
Oh, well. Well, look, there's always going to be scalpers, so please just mind your wallets. 3DS is great, and what else were we talking about before the break?
Demonetization. Hopefully this doesn't get demonetized, although none of the other podcasts have been, so yeah. Hopefully that whole issue seems to be winding down. I think their little algorithms getting better at it, but I'm still getting every recent video get demonetized. So we'll see. This one will be a test.
Gee, well, I'd say, hey, that was a pretty good podcast. But before we go, I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Mars, better candy for better people. Thank you very much, Mars, for sponsoring this episode. Not really, but...
I also want to give a thank you to our other sponsor, Sand. Sand is sponsoring this episode as well. Just from the beach,
I love Sand. Such a great product.
I love sand so much. Make sure to pick up some sand from your local beach.
Awesome. Great. Well, hey, it was great to talk to you again.
It actually was.
We're on fire when we talk for the full hour without saying what do we have to do. And we could probably go for another hour.
I know. I have stuff I could say, but let's plan one for like next weekend so we can actually get some episodes out.
At this point, I'm free next Sunday, so okay. That's Sunday. Let's just try and do one every Sunday from now on. Sunday.
We'll get Billy in the next one since he's like right outside the door right now.
I want to talk to Billy about his beard. It is beautiful.
I want to talk to Billy about a lot of things. I told him earlier I'm going to put him on the spot with a few things. I'm gonna ask him if that little Samson was faked, or that little Flintstones was faked. But I don't want him to know that until I
have an interesting history with the Game Chasers that I would like to tell all our viewers about. So,
for the record, they weren't faked, but I want to see what he says when I put him on the spot.
He's probably going to say, absolutely, they may have been planted a bug in that particular flea market shop. So,
I'm gonna ask him if Jay's actually a woman in disguise.
I've always wondered that. Thank you. All right, let's cut it there. Cut. Wood, thanks for joining us today, and me, thanks for joining us today. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor on the Everything's Taken podcast? See you next time.
Don't be a stranger.
Be a neighbor.
Love you guys. Thanks for listening.